Now, there are requirements for crew, and you had made a question, how much does it cost, right? And legally, you have to have certain types of individuals there on your set to do that. And of course, that affects cost, and yes, it can be less expensive than manned aircraft, and we discussed that in the previous panel. But tell us about what those minimum requirements are.
Well, the minimum requirements are really kind of set up by the individual that is putting forth their exemption, which is their 333, in their pilot operating handbooks and also in their flight ops manuals. So all of us kind of have different regulations, like a sport pilot's regulation, or certificate. That, in my particular exemption, that won't work, I have to have somebody that's been flying aircraft actively, just not somebody that just, I got my pilot's license, I'm gonna go learn how to fly drones. No. Because the reality of it is that when you go sit down in certain production meetings, you have the FAA standard right there, you're operating in airspace, you need to know who to talk to, how to communicate with them, and set them up. That's something that doesn't happen within the first year of learning how to fly an airplane. That's something that, comes from being 16 years old, flying helicopters and airplanes, and then, transpires into now when I'm sitting in a room and you got the chief of police, you got mayors, you got somebody from the FAA that's sitting there, you got the client, you have everybody sitting around saying, how are we going to make this happen? And it all starts off with with the mayor signing a piece of paper saying that Justin Chapman's the only one that's allowed to fly in this city. And then it moves into the FAA, and he starts talking and digging apart the manual. Can you do this? Can we do this? How are you going to maintain this? What are you going to do here? And then, you go out and you shoot, and it's actually, because you got to get 8 different people to block off roads in different areas and, maintain that 500-foot boundary. Next thing you know, that day of shooting drones is, surpasses what it would be if I had a full-size helicopter and a big gimbal on it. So.
Yeah, it really depends on the application.
All depends on the application.
There's some folks, crew members, that are required here.
Right, you have a visual observer, which your visual observer is somebody that's, again, they're all trained per manual. Like my visual observer has to be a pilot, and he has to be able to communicate effectively with the FAA. He has to be able to put together the plan of activities. He also needs to know about flying drones. He has to have time on flying drones. So then that way, when he's spotting, seeing the drone flying, then he sees another aircraft, he could let me know if that aircraft's coming through. If you're flying in airspace, he's also communicating effectively with the control towers that are over there, saying, drone's coming up, we're starting UAS operations at this, you have him trained in doing that. And a lot of VOs that just get thrown on being a VO, they don't know that. And that's partly why, I created the Chapman Aero Academy, is to bring people in and start educating them on this and start kind of building a certain type of standard where people could sit there and be like, okay, we get it. We're starting to understand this process. Because it's even when you go file a notice to airman, that's something that you have to do when you're in different airspaces. It's like some of these guys, they get their exemptions, they barely got their pilot certificate, they're going to go fly in your production. You're in an airspace, you got to file a note. And they're, what do I do? How do I do that? The next thing you know, they're not communicating effectively to the local FSDO, which is the Flight Standard District Office in that area that you have to submit the plan of activities, let them know where you're doing, and they're going to be like, who's this guy? What? No, I'm not.
Oh, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you contact them ahead of time, they're generally very nice. But if they find you, that's different.
That is definitely different, so don't have them find you.
That's one of the things we've seen with just law enforcement in general.
And, and that's the thing too, is because having a pilot certificate, right? I got this pilot certificate, 16 years old. To get it taken away because of, flying a drone recklessly or doing something stupid and not doing something by the book is just completely ridiculous to me. So, that's what we all risk as being drone pilots, is we risk our career in full-size aviation flying drones. So when there's an accident, you got to treat it just like it's an accident with a full-size helicopter. If you run into somebody and hit somebody, you got to treat it just like it's an accident with a full-size helicopter. NTSB gets involved. There's phone numbers we have to call. There's a serious process that goes, into it when there's an accident. And hopefully, knock on this tablecloth, that never doesn't happen. But, that's where it all comes down to pilot training, When you're out there and you have this time, like any of us know, we plug that thing in, it beeps wrong, it flashes a light at us wrong, we don't fly it. well, I'll take that one, set it aside, I'll grab a new one, you know? Doing stuff for live broadcast. I mean, we have these things, they're on shore power. They're powered on the whole entire time. And then all of a sudden we get the call from the producers in the box and the director, get the drone in there, get the drone in there. Then we're launching, we fly, we get our shot for 5 seconds, we come back down, we land, goes back onto shore power. We're always looking at everything, making sure everything's working perfectly. There's never like, oh, I flew, it came down, landed, I'm gonna go over here, you know, eat at the snack bar and go grab a soda and walk right. No, we're fully in tune with what's going on, you know, and that's the difference. That's the experience side of it.